The UConn Huskies needed a breakout game against East Carolina on Wednesday, and they got one in a very big way, hammering the Pirates with a 118-point barrage that got the entire team firing on all cylinders.
I was encouraged by what they did, but I've been encouraged before. We'll see what happens on Saturday.
Today, the Huskies look to keep the momentum on their side as they return to Storrs for a matinee with the Temple Owls. And we're getting you set for all the game action right here on the UConn Women's Basketball pregame show. And it begins right now. Pavilion, home of the Huskies, and UConn going to play host to Temple this afternoon. Tip-off coming your way here on SNY at the top of the hour as we welcome you to the UConn Women's Basketball pregame show. Gary Apple sitting alongside Kara Walters, and I think the only word you can really use to describe the Wednesday win, UConn over East Carolina, that was a beatdown, was it not? In a very big way.
It was in a very big way, but I think this UConn team needed it.
Yes.
I mean, this was vintage UConn basketball. This is what they're capable of, and you saw them do different things and the whole team get involved.
What was most impressive to you about the way they went about their business?
The most impressive thing about this game was how they did it together as a unit. It reminded UConn what they're capable of, and it was a step forward knowing that they're getting there. But I loved how they did it as a unit. They scored a lot of points in transition, which was huge for them. Their defense led to offense. They had 20 steals in that game, really got them going. The best assist game that they've had all season long. So many things on all cylinders, and because they got that early lead and pushed it in transition, it enabled them to get the bench in, and the bench contributed a lot.
They shot 57% in the game, and I know that Gino has changed up the playbook a little bit, right? He simplified things. How much is that adding to what they're doing at the moment?
Well, he said they went from like 10 pages to a half a page, right? So talk about really simplifying it for everyone. I think obviously he's a Hall of Fame coach. He knows what he's doing, right? Clearly. But I think that's a good thing to do. Simplify it. Play basketball. Don't worry about plays. They're smart enough at this point that they know what to do. So it's not like I'm supposed to go here, you're supposed to go there. Let's just play basketball. And I think it's good for the bench because now they can stop thinking so much and they can, you know, do all their things. And I think it was important for UConn starters to sit on the bench a little bit and watch what was going on in the game. So they kind of see what everyone's doing on offense and see that things are better kind of simplified.
70 points in the first half for UConn in that win against East Carolina. 70 points in one half. That's a lot. All five UConn starters in double digits in the win on Wednesday. The Huskies shooting, as I said a moment ago, 57% from the floor. They pounded the paint in the process. It is the first time the Huskies broke the 100-point plateau this season. And so with that as the backdrop, let's welcome in Justine Ward right now. And Justine, Gino Auriemma made some adjustments, as I mentioned a moment ago, heading into that game with East Carolina. So what were those adjustments in particular, and why were they so impactful?
Hey, Gary. Well, Kara just talked about the playbook, and I talked to Nafisa Collier about it this morning, and she told me that Gino really cut it down to just a few core plays. She said previously we had a lot to memorize, and the problem was that in high-pressure situations, we were almost overwhelmed. There was too much going on in our heads, and we didn't know where to go. And she said having things simplified has really helped them, and it's also helped them focus. And she told me the biggest adjustment overall was that they really focused on their energy and wanting to be consistent at the same energy level throughout that game against ECU.
You know, Justine, we know after that loss to Louisville, they struggled a little bit. They had a tough time against Cincinnati. So when it comes to this sort of a blowout win, in terms of team confidence, how far might this go, the win over ECU?
Well, Nafisa told me this morning it just feels really good, and it feels great that we were able to execute on both ends of the floor. We shared the basketball, and again, she mentioned their energy level. I think that's something they've been working towards, is being able to bring the energy for an entire game, and she told me that was the big message from Gino this morning in shoot-around. She said that he reminded them that we know what you're capable of. We saw it against ECU. Now let's carry that over into today. No more ups and downs. So that's the big message from the coach this morning to his players.
All right, Justine, look forward to seeing you on the broadcast coming up top of the hour here on SNY. And one of the biggest storylines in that win, the emergence of and the reemergence of Katie Lou Samuelson leading up to the East Carolina game. She had really struggled on the offensive side, and while it is still really not in many ways a prototypical night for Katie Lou when it comes to her behind the arc shooting, only took a couple of shots from downtown. Those 31 points were impressive, to say the least, and again, a season high. So how does it change the equation when Katie Lou Samuelson is doing what she did against East Carolina?
Well, I think there's been too much focus on Katie Lou not shooting the ball well. And then we saw Katie Lou doing other things. She's a complete player now. She's not just a shooter. She's a basketball player. In that game, she only had 2 threes, but she got out to a quick start. She had 18 points in the first quarter. Now, her first shot was a 3, so I think she had that big sigh of relief and said, all right, let's get going now. But the thing that was impressive about her is all the other things she did. Scoring in the paint, getting rebounds. She didn't focus on shooting threes, and I think that's really important for a player. If you're not shooting well, don't focus on it. Do other things, and the game will come to you. But it's important for Katie Lou to have that confidence because it's contagious to the rest of the team. If the team's worrying, oh, no, Katie Lou's not shooting, what are we going to do? You know, first of all, they shouldn't think that way. And second of all, I think Katie feels a little bit like she needs to get going to have confidence. The rest of the team have confidence in her.
It's only natural, though, is it not, for the younger players to look to the veterans, somebody like Katie Lou, to say, okay, we need her to put us on her back to take us where we need to go. And one of the things I think that was maybe a little bit under the radar against East Carolina, 11 of 13 from the foul line, right? She got to the basket. She drew fouls. How big a part of her game is that?
That's huge, and that's something she's developed, and we didn't see it early on in her career, Gary. She didn't like the physicality of the game, and now she thinks, okay, let's work from the inside out. If shots aren't falling, let's get physical and get in there, and that's a part of her game that's just grown. But yes, of course, younger kids are going to look up to somebody like Katie Lou, and I think she's a great example of saying, all right, let's do other things. Let's move without the basketball. Let's get rebounds. Let's be involved with the game regardless if I'm not shooting well. And the good thing is you have Crystal Dangerfield. You have other players saying, all right, Katie, you're in a slump. We're going to take over for now until you get back on it. And I think it's a great example for the younger kids, even if she's not shooting the ball well, that she's doing other things.
UConn coming in 20-2 on the season. They're 9-0 in conference. By the way, Temple has won their last 4 games. They've been on a bit of a roll. So Kara and I just getting going here on the UConn women's basketball pregame show. We get a look at the senior as we head for break here, averaging just under 19 points per game. Looking to keep that momentum going today at the top of the hour. And it was a career night for Crystal Dangerfield as well. She had 12 assists. That's a new career high for her last time out. So what exactly makes her such a precision distributor of the basketball? We'll discuss when we come back in just a moment.
Crystal Dangerfield has gotten everybody involved here tonight. Crystal weaving through traffic and finding Irwin. Another assist for Dangerfield.
You could tell she's loving distributing the basketball even more than scoring.
Dangerfield, touchdown from beyond midcourt. Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Dangerfield to Samuelson.
She's just trying to make sure that our offense flows. And tell you what, these last 3 games, she's been unbelievable.
It is time now for Shining the Light. It is presented by Connecticut Lighting Centers, and today we're focusing in on Crystal Dangerfield. A career-high dozen assists against East Carolina, just 1 off the single-game program record. And Crystal has been more of a scoring threat in recent days, but she got back to doing what she does so well on Wednesday, and that is distributing the basketball. What makes her court vision, Kara, just so exceptional?
Well, first of all, she's such an unselfish player. She is the facilitator of the team. She's the extension of Gina Auriemma on the court. So she's going to do whatever it takes to win. And her basketball IQ is just so high. Immediately she gets the ball, she looks up the court. She's not thinking dribble. She's not thinking, how can I score? It's, where can I give up a good shot for a great shot? And not all point guards do that. She was 2 for 7 from three-point land, so she still shot the ball, which Gina wants her to do. But she also knows her bread and butter is to distribute the ball. And from there, if other opportunities exist, she's going to do that. But as a guard, she shares the basketball so well. She rebounded the ball. She got assists. She does other other things. So it's not just passing the ball, and it's not just shooting when she gets the green light.
We see those highlights of her right there, and you love to see the no-look passes. You know, it's fun to watch, but when you look at the fact against East Carolina, no turnovers.
Yeah.
Right? That is what makes a coach really happy.
Yeah, really happy, and it's so rare. It's so rare of a thing you just expect it from Crystal Dangerfield, but it's very rare. And I think the defense was really good. They did a tremendous job, active hands, getting steals, going down in transition. So the fact that they moved the ball so quickly up the floor, sometimes it's easy to kind of get ahead of yourself and throw the ball away. And she did a great job going down the other end, taking care of the basketball.
You know, you've spoken many times about the point guard, and we've discussed it, point guard being an extension of your head coach. You know, you see Gino and Crystal at times on the sidelines, and he looks so comfortable knowing that she's at the point for him, right? And that she can take what he wants done out onto the floor, and it does come to fruition.
Yeah, and she's directing traffic out there. You can really see she kind of takes in what he says. And I love about Crystal, she's just same face all the time. She never gets too high, never gets too low, just takes the information that Gino gives her and distributes it on the basketball court. So you like that she doesn't get high and low. That's why in that one game, when she got into it with one of the players, you were like, whoa, Crystal's getting, wow, that's actually good to see emotion from her. But I like that she stays steady. She takes what Gino tells her, and then she goes and she implements it on the court.
Well, she does have that feisty side, right? She doesn't let it out too often.
She's a competitor.
She's a great competitor, and that's I think that's one of the things that makes her such a special player. So let's head for break here. We got to look at the junior guard Crystal Dangerfield on the way out the door. Stat sheet stuffer in so many ways. Last time out, she's also scored in double digits in the last 4 games. She hits the floor against Temple coming up here in just a little bit on SNY. We're back in a moment. Here it is right now. We'll look at the upcoming schedule. It is presented by Town Fair Tire. After Temple today, the last regular season non-conference game is coming up next as UConn plays host to South Carolina. Big game there on Monday. And then it's UCF, Memphis, and a road game against Tulsa.
I think they're going off.
You think they're going off today?
I think they're going to shoot well.
They're going to shoot well? You're in the prediction business right now.
Apparently I am now.
Williams into Irwin. Kyla Irwin works inside off the window, and UConn has hit 100 for the first time this season. 118 points put on the board by Gino Auriemma's Huskies.
All right, so now we call her Meg Stradamus, do we not? Meg Como? She was all over that right there. She called UConn's breakout game against East Carolina, and for more prognostication, let's send it back out to Meg and Eric Freed. They've got the call for us once again today from Storrs, Connecticut. Guys.
Yes, Meg is quite the, I don't know, psychic, great predictor. How did you see that coming? Yes, you are perfect. That is for sure. You had a good feeling about the offensive output for UConn against ECU. Now, granted, ECU has struggled a little bit. UConn took advantage of that, but they put up 118 points. By far their highest scoring total of the year. Was that an indication that good things are to come for this team offensively?
Well, I think Gino hopes so. And that will be the key today if they can maintain consistency with what he talked about at shooting practice today. But the bottom line is that I think they were due, and they hadn't played well. They had been getting good shots, a lot of them. They just weren't dropping. I think they could have taken better shots, and we saw them taking better shots. But after a while, like, the stats almost have to work in your favor. You can't miss that many shots for that long. And I think they were due, and I think a lot of other people probably predicted it as well, but I was happy for them. They put in the work. I know Katie Luke came in and was shooting a lot on her own, separate of the team, and when you put in that kind of work, it will pay off.
We haven't seen as many of those types of games this year where there's a comfortable lead early and the starters can get some rest, but they can also get that spot on the bench. And we saw Gino over there talking to them. Class was in session, and they were kind of watching what was unfolding as they were on the bench. That's the feeling we've been used to, but we haven't seen that a lot this year. You know what?
Those are invaluable moments, and I'm happy for those kids. Number one, that the bench kids got in and played a lot and played well and contributed. But those are great moments for Gino to be able to show them what he can't tell them when they're on the floor, and to be able to sit there and get the eyes of a coach. That's stuff that is invaluable.
Today it's Temple, a team that's much improved since the last time these two teams met just a few weeks ago. We'll see you at the top of the hour.
All right, Eric and Meg Stradamus. What are you thinking about? You were on that too, right?
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Let's pat you on the back here.
Yeah,
You thought it was going to be a big game against East Carolina. So they spoke about the bench for a moment there, but let's dive a little bit deeper into the bench. They had 25 points, did the bench players in the win over ECU. So what about that performance, and what impressed you most about them?
Well, everyone on the bench played 6 minutes or more. We haven't seen that in a long time, and their effort was really good. And Gino said, great effort, but I've seen this before, and can it continue? So here you have the coach who everyone's kind of patting the bench on the back, but he's skeptically optimistic, I guess I would say. So that's one of the things, that the consistency, and they need to continue, because you saw good things. The starters got to rest. They got to, like Eric said, kind of watch the game, and Gino could teach the starters what the bench players were doing. So great effort. I like that everyone contributed in this game. Now, we've said in the past everyone's contributed, but I think we really meant the starters. Now, in this game, I feel like everyone on the team played a terrific job, did a role, and that gives you confidence going forward that you're more than just a team, you're a unit, and we have to play together. They have to do this collectively. They're not going to win a national championship if they think that one person's going to, you know, put the cape on and save the day. It's going to be a collective effort. So that kind of energy and effort shows the bench that they're capable of doing it.
I still think Olivia Nelson-Adota is going to be key for this team. She can provide some size in the middle, right? She had not just the 6 points, but 6 rebounds and 3 block shots in that game against East Carolina. So the rematch between UConn and Temple is on the way here on SNY. Kyla Irwin, I know you love Kyla.
Yes, hard worker.
Yeah, they beat the Owls by 21 back on January the 19th. She put up 9 points off the bench against ECU. Tip-off coming your way just a little bit. Back in a moment. There's Christian Williams getting set for today's game against Temple. Tip-off coming up less than 10 minutes from now. And our Justine Ward recently caught up with the Hall of Fame head coach for the latest edition of the Gino Auriemma Show and discussed a variety of topics. Here's a sneak peek.
Well, you've talked a lot about effort and the effort that's required to understand playing here at Connecticut. But when someone makes a huge jump development-wise, what do you think is the biggest contributing factor?
Effort, for sure. For sure. If you already have the talent and you already have a certain skill level, the only thing that keeps you from being successful out on the court is you just don't try hard enough. You give up on yourself too easily. That, to me, is the biggest culprit for a lot of these kids, a lot of these young kids that are really talented. The reason they don't progress as quickly is their work ethic just isn't where it needs to be for them to be successful. And they want to be good without putting the time in. You know, when Maya Moore came to Connecticut, she didn't know anything about basketball. But I would challenge you to find any kid in America that was going to work harder and compete harder than Maya Moore. And now you take that kind of talent with that kind of competitiveness and work ethic, and she was a superstar right from freshman year. Okay, well, not everybody has Maya's talent. But if everybody that came in as a freshman worked to the level that Maya worked, well, then you could coach to her 100.
And who knows, maybe Gino will, for all we know. And you can catch the latest edition of the Gino Auriemma Show this afternoon, immediately following our post-game coverage here on SNY. Justine asked about the difficulty of taking, that next step, and that has been a topic of discussion when it comes to the freshman Christian Williams. Do you believe that she's coming off a good game last time out, that she is beginning to turn the corner?
Just from some of the things I hear her say, I feel like she's starting to get it. And you have to get it if you come to Connecticut, but when you're a freshman, you go, what's it? And that is every day bringing that effort that Gino spoke about, every day paying attention to detail, every day getting in the gym a little extra. She's starting to get it. And she said she was working on kind of creating for herself, because that's something Gino wants her to do, to create. That's what she did in high school. She's good at it, so she's trying to create for herself. She worked in practice a lot on her step back, because that was one of her signature moves in high school. She did it in the game the other day, and the bench just erupted. Like, there you go. You're getting it. Go back to what you know you're good at. And that's what she's done.
I heard where Nafisa Collier said she can take anybody off the dribble and she can take anybody one-on-one. Right? So why doesn't she do that more often?
I just really think it's confidence. I mean, we've seen with her, she's capable, I've said it before, I love her pull-up jumper mid-range. You don't see that a lot. So because she's capable of stopping on a dime, pulling up, doing the mid-range jumper, or taking it to the basket and getting fouled, that's a really useful thing. And I think Gino's like, you think it's common sense and people do it all the time, but they don't, so work on it. And I think it's just confidence, but I think you're going to see it come a little more from here.
15 points and 6 assists for Kristen Williams last time out against East Carolina. The offense beginning to click once again for the Huskies. Will we see more of that today against Temple? Going to wrap up our pregame show. Some things to look for early in today's game. Carol will let us know when we come back in just a moment. We get a look. UConn starting lineup. No change. Same starting lineup they have used all season long. What to watch for? Carol Walters early in today's game against Temple.
Well, Gino wants the offense to continue going, but I also think they need to work on defense a little bit in this game. This is a better, much improved Temple team, but the Temple team also played them well in the last game. 26 points in the third quarter. Maya Davis is playing terrific for Temple, averaging 19 points a game. So they're a pretty good team, and they've only gotten better, and they're used to playing against UConn now because they've met them once. So I think defense turn it up a notch in this game, but also continue with the offense in the flow of the game and build on what they did last time.
So we know Meg is now Meg Stradamus. What about Kara Stradamus? What about Kristen Williams today? Will she build upon that 15-point effort last time out?
If I don't get this right, I'm going to hear it from Meg.
The pressure is on, Kara. Yes.
I feel like Kristen is going to build on that and have the confidence now. Hopefully we'll see some step backs, some pull-up jumpers from her, but let's go with that. And if not, I'm going to hear it from Meg.
All right, you're on the record is what I'm saying here. UConn 12-2 all-time against Temple. Kara and I go to see you back here for the halftime show. It's UConn and Temple here on SNY. Eric, Meg, and Justine with all the action from Stores. Let's get it going with Eric right now.